Hello there, Silly Moustache here. I'm responding to a couple of comments that have been made to me very kindly on a couple of recent videos, and one specifically from PB 200559. Is that really what your family calls you? Anyway, he says, he or she says, excellent lesson. It'd be great to see you break down the bass runs and string muting. Right, I've got out of the habit of using string muting, but I can show you the technique pretty easily, I think. Let's talk about the bass runs that I use, often without thinking about them. And of course the most memorable one is the one that I call the Jimmy Rogers one, which is... Not sure whether you caught that on camera, so I'm just going to do it again. Well, I'm going to California where to sleep out every night. Said I'm going to California where to sleep out every night. You know them round here women, they don't treat old Andy right. Okay, so there's that sort of thing. Reaches for my cup of tea. Throat's dried up already. Sorry about that. The bass runs perform a couple of things. They actually add in a little bit of melody, but they're also kind of signalling to the listener, but most specifically to your fellow musicians, where the progression is going. So if I do a straight 3/4 thing in G, there's a number we do which starts like this and is very much picking up the melody in the bass line, and it goes something like... Sorry, I'll start that again. It's a Cahalan Morrison and Eli West song called Pocket Full of Dust, and that's my version. That's the way I intro that song. Probably not in that key, but it doesn't matter, the principle's the same. There's a sequence that I'm very fond of, that we're picking up a lot from old 20s and 30s numbers that we have been doing recently, which is the... If you're playing in C, down to a 6, a 2, a 5, and a 1. Why did you leave heaven? Why did they let you go? And how's everything in heaven? Well, I would surely like to know. And so the bass line is the melody line, but it's also kind of punctuating things, and gives you a bit of space between the different phrases in the lyrics. So you know, if you played that out in heaven, just really wouldn't work. So that suppose I'm slightly influenced by Big Bill Broonzy, although I could never hope to play in his style. But then again, I don't try to play in anybody else's style, and neither should you. What else can I do? Oh, traditional numbers like Pilgrim. In bluegrass, by the way, that last little phrase is called the G run, and it can be done in C, but I'm not going to do it now because I usually muck it up. String spacing, string muting rather. I've got to change my position so you can see this hand. Can you see that hand? Yeah, I'm looking at my little tiny camera screen. I don't use it much, but I used to use it quite a lot when I was playing solo, and it's a useful device for adding a little bit of tension or drawing the audience into the song. What can I think of? Guy Clark's song Magnolia Wind, where I will do the melody line. But there's one last verse which is well, it's basically about someone in the couple dying, and it's a rather sad and very thoughtful one, and I might possibly do and the methodology is just by putting that part of your hand over the strings that you're playing. So I'm just damping just in front of the saddle. Can I do it on the saddle? There's a degree. I tend to do it in front, I suppose, but it's not something I've learnt well. Angie Very, a constant commenter on my videos, so which I really do appreciate. So hello Angie, and thanks for this comment. She said on another video, another song, the guitar almost sings on its own. Well, yeah, because we're playing the melody line. On that Guy Clark song, the melody line is da 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 dum, da 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 dum, da 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 dum. Da, 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 da. So you can accompany your voice, you can replace it. My solos on that song are always that melody line. Oops. I'm dragging the time a little bit, you know, a little bit of a pause and maybe jumping that note a little bit to put emotion in it. So not only are you playing the melody, but you're putting the story of the song. And I'm very big on the fact that a song is storytelling. It just happens to be in a key. And so that's about telling the. The other thing that bass runs do, coming back to those, is telling your colleagues in the bland band, where this number's going. This is something I suppose I picked up in bluegrass jams when I used to go to such things, where I didn't have a chance of doing the fiddle melody line, but I could watch another guitarist. If I was playing mandolin or guitar or dobro or whatever, I'd watch another guitarist and watch him change the chords, or I could get a microsecond in front by watching his bass run that told me where he was going to go. Etc. Little signals. I use that a lot more than I realise when I'm playing with Bob, although he will know the number we're doing. We don't tend to jam, we tend to work to arrangements, but you know, there's A parts and B parts in songs, and there's slightly different accents on them, slightly different progressions in those A parts and B parts, sometimes C parts. So I think it's just musical courtesy to signal those changes. So where else? What have we else we got? Yeah, I think I've covered that. String muting, yeah. I won't overlabel this, overlabour it, but I am aware that my bass runs are rather repetitive. I was playing with the guys the first time without our singer, so I had to do the lead vocals as well. So I went back to some older songs that we used to do before I got ill, and I was watching my hands thinking, oh, you're doing that again, Andrew. So they become habit, but they also, being predictable is good if you're playing in a combo or a trio. So being able to show or illustrate to your bass player and your mandolin player, as in my case, where you're going to go and what you're doing, and the fact that you remember what you're doing is always a help. So if you have been, thanks for watching. If this has been useful, then have it with my love, and please ask me more questions. I love that. I love the challenge of that. For now, thanks for watching, and goodbye.